Hey divas, I'm making a video about somebody I don't care about. I don't know, I guess my channel has just become like defending whoever Twitter is mad at a given week. Actually, I think this was more topical like a week ago, but I filmed the whole video and I edited it and I thought it was bad. I don't know. I realized what I was trying to do, what I was trying to capitalize on the Sabrina Carpenter controversy while it was like still fresh and new. And I think the video I made was not good because I didn't have enough days to like think about it. And then I watched a bunch of other video essays on it and I realized that's what everyone else did. I watched so many video essays on this thing and none of them felt complete, none of them went deep enough, none of them were like, some of them, they had good points, but like you can tell they just wanted to rush this out because they're like, oh, this is gonna give me the most views. And I'm not shaming that, I also tried to do that. But also they were so boring, I don't know. Anyway, this is my Venmo, please send me money. I did a lot of research, I like listened to all her music and I kind of like it. I like Please Please Please. I like Taste and Juno. I think Espresso is whatever, but like I like pop music. Here, let me show you something. You see this? You see this? This is Litanies of Satan by Diamanda Galas. It's 17 and a half minutes long. I listen to it in the gym unironically all the time, and it sounds like this. You see this? This is Sinner Get Ready by Lingua Ignota. I love this queen. It's about her struggles with being a woman and being the victim of like sexual violence, also Catholic trauma, and it sounds like this. I don't give a fuck. Just kill him! So like, I love pop music. I think it's cool, but like, I don't know. I don't think I'm the target demographic for Miss Sabrina Carpenter. I guess like my favorite thing about her is I really enjoy her aesthetic. It's like this hypersexual 60s, like pinup adjacent. She's like this boy crazy aesthetic. She's so horny, but also has like a lot of power that she gets from her horniness. She's like a mommy dom. She released a new song recently called Man Child, which is essentially about, I'm gonna get into the controversy in a second. I gotta set it up. If you're watching this video, you already know the whatever. But Man Child is kind of about how she like can't stop getting into relationships with these horrible men that are so inept, and that she has to like keep teaching them how to like be a person because they're a man child, and she hates it but also like loves these men, you know? Basically she's like every girl that went to my college. I went to like a beach college in Southern California. All the divas were like Sabrina Carpenter. And I think that's part of her relatability, is that she kind of captures what it's like for a lot of women in that like late teen, early 20s vibe, where you're like kind of boy crazy, but you keep going after these it's like, there's this one diva I went to college with. Her name is Serena. Hi, Serena. But she was the diva that would be like always on Tinder trying to get validation from men, always trying to date these guys, always trying to get free drinks from guys. But in her free time was like, fuck men. I hate men. I want to apologize on behalf of men. Very sorry. Hey, hey, what's up, you guys? So, like, very sorry to women. So, like, I get it. And also, like, women, a lot of women aren't lesbians. So, like, even Sabrina Carpenter, she has a song where she's like, Lord forgot my sexual awakening. What is it? Yeah, Slim Pickens. This is how you know I actually listen to her music. I feel like, okay, all of these people trying to analyze the Sabrina Carpenter controversy, none of them are actually trying to genuinely engage with her music. And I want to genuinely engage with her art, okay? I feel like you have to try and understand what, you can't just write off her, we'll get into that. But it was her song Slim Pickens. She goes, since the good ones call their exes wasted, and since the Lord forgot my gay awakening, then I'll just be here in the kitchen serving up some moaning and bitching. And it's like, even Sabrina Carpenter is like, I hate that I have to be in love with men. I wish I were a lesbian. You say that you're a lesbian, girl, me too. I don't know, she's very relatable, and once I kind of understood why the relatability was there, and I kind of got that like a while ago, I was like, oh, I get it, I see why she's famous, she's really speaking to the shared experience of a lot of women in the United States. But I really expected her downfall. Every time a celebrity becomes famous really quickly, everyone's gonna love them, and then everyone will turn on them eventually. For women, it happens sooner because what? We as a society hate and punish women. Thank you. I don't know, did you learn nothing from the Lady Gaga paparazzi performance? Let me read you some shit. Explain to me again how this isn't centering men, how this isn't catering to the male gaze. Are we really gonna use irony as an excuse here? There is nothing ironic about this picture. Maybe let's not fetishize abuse. Your music lacks the type of radicalism to do this cover. If this cover was satire, then women would feel seen and heard within it, and men would feel completely uncomfortable. This isn't subversive. It mimics the violence it's failing to critique. Romanticizing violence, well done. So basically, she released this album cover for her upcoming album titled Man's Best Friend, and this was the accompanying photo with it. And you can see in the album cover, Sabrina Carpenter is on her hands and knees with perfect hair, perfect makeup, a little black mini dress, some, one feminist called them mandatory slut pumps. I can't remember who said it. That's what she called high heels. And then you have a man kind of out of frame, but like he's walking her like a dog. He's holding her hair like it's leash. And the accompanying photo is a dog's collar saying man's best friend, as if women are man's best friend. And I went to genuinely engage with this. I don't want to try and write anybody off, but I am going to be honest. I'm gonna defend Sabrina Carpenter. I don't want to be like a centrist, to be like, well, both sides are dumb. No, girl, get over yourself, make a decision. I'm gonna defend Sabrina Carpenter in this entire video. I'm going to like defend and reify her art. Like I said earlier, people don't genuinely engage with the source of material. So I'm going to do that. It is that deep. I'm sorry. There's this one, okay, I don't want to call any names out, but there was this one diva who made a video essay, and I watched it, and she was essentially like, well, it's not that deep. She's just a market. I'm like, oh my God. It is that deep. Sorry, I have an eye booger. It is that deep. It's that deep. I guess two things before I really get into like the meat and potatoes of the video. Because I am gonna just be kind of trying to defend Sabrina. I'm gonna call out two things. One, in her new song, Man Child, she uses the word slow to describe a man as inept, and I don't like that. I don't know if I'm being like dark woke or something, but to me, that word has a history of like being used against people who have mental disability or are neurodivergent. I don't know. I don't appreciate that. Like on the like if I had to tier rank how offensive it is, it's not like the highest, but I wouldn't do it, and I think the song will probably age poorly because of that. But also, that's not the problem people are having with this. Like, people are like, wow, a woman using a slur that has been used against people who have mental disabilities for years, that's fine. But a woman being sexual, how dare you? I don't know, but I also want to say, like, I am a white man talking about feminism on YouTube. So, like, I understand I'm getting myself into some hot water. So like, I want to say any women who see this album cover and see a woman in a sexually submissive way being dominated by a man, yeah, I understand why that would make you feel bad. And I want to say that if you are feeling some type of way and you don't like it and it's triggering, or I don't know, if you're feeling negative emotions to it, yeah, that's valid and that's fine. I think that is okay and healthy, and there's nothing wrong with you feeling that way. I feel like I've seen a lot of video essays and people are just kind of writing off women's feelings, and I want to say that those feelings are valid and understandable. I don't know what it's like to be a woman, but I was raised by a single mother, a single mom who worked three jobs, raised me and my brother, and she went to college at the same time. And then she got remarried, and I have 3 little sisters. So like, I'm not a woman. I don't know what women's experience is, but I was raised by a powerful woman and surrounded by women. A lot of my videos are influenced by feminist philosophy and feminist thinkers. Yeah, I read books to prepare to this. Well, I read a little bit of the book. I mainly just like watched some like video essays on it. But I did read one book. Hold up. I don't want to go get it. It's Who's Afraid of Gender by Judith Butler. Love Judith Butler. I don't know, but I just want to say, like, women, if we as a society are raised to hate women. We as a society are raised to think of women as other. So I don't know what it's like for a woman to see a photograph like this, but I want to say that I'm try and tread lightly, and if I say something that offends you, it's probably my fault. I probably miscommunicated. I probably wasn't empathetic enough, and I'm sorry. Please leave it in the comments below. Yeah. Oh, here's my Venmo. Please send money to my Venmo. I need to make rent. Let's go to part 1. So this is the photo that's causing a lot of outrage. And I feel like a lot of people aren't seriously trying to articulate and engage the argument that people are having against this photo. So I wanted to create a steel man argument. I wrote it down, hold up. Sabrina Carpenter is pandering to the male gaze and centering men under the guise of feminism, when in reality, she is just perpetuating misogynistic tropes for profit. This normalization of the continued subjugation of women by men damages the feminist cause by setting bad examples for young girls and further oppressing women. So that's the argument people are having against Sabrina Carpenter. And it's a big argument. That's like the strong argument. You have to defend this. But also, I don't think that's deep enough. So we're gonna do some good old-fashioned book learning. You come here for the shitty editing, you stay here for the book learning. So if you don't know, Simone de Beauvoir, she was a feminist that wrote a lot of foundational texts to modern day feminism in the 40s. But her most famous one is called The Second Sex. She made it in 1949. And also, I think that people nowadays who are trying to fight for women's rights need to understand Simone de Beauvoir. She created a lot of the foundational texts for this. And obviously you don't agree with everything she says because it's a philosopher that was made in 1949, but her main point credited to her was that she said a woman is made, not born. And look, I'm not gonna try and define gender in this video. Gender is very hard to define. I don't know. I'm gonna be very loose with it, but I don't know. Anyway, but think about it. A lot of conservatives who hate women, most people, okay. A lot of conservatives, they say they're focused on biology, the biology of a woman because they're transphobic. But then they'll say that a woman's not woman enough. She's not acting like a woman enough. And it's okay, well, what is it? Is it biology or is it social sciences? But essentially, Simone de Beauvoir is credited for creating the distinction between sex and gender, but she's actually more punk rock than that. She believed that sex itself is socially constructed and only exists in specific situations. When she says a woman is made, not born, she means that there is no divine feminine essence that makes somebody a woman. There isn't a biological facet that's oh, well, if you have this, that means you're a woman. No. There are many women who are born with other secondary sex characteristics or have different chromosomal sex, but they're still treated as women because they are women. And she basically said that no, sex itself is socially constructed and it only matters in specific situations, and as time goes on, our ideas of what sex is changes. And I think that's fairly cunty. I don't know, it's people are they try to make this argument that oh, well, there's a difference between sex and gender, and sex is all biological, but gender is social. And it's not even. It's more, it's blurrier than that. But one thing she did say was that she wanted to she said it's important to validate the existence of gender and the differences between genders. Example, usually well-intended white people, but they'll say, well, I don't see color. I don't care if you're black, white, zebra stripe, purple. It's they say, I don't see color, but what people of color really want is they want you to see their lived experience as a person of color. They want you to see that there are differences, and they want those to be acknowledged, and they want your own internal biases to be acknowledged. Same thing with gender. I think a lot of well-intended people are well, masculinity and femininity, they don't even it doesn't even exist. Tear it apart. Radical, tear it apart. She doesn't know why it's here. She doesn't know why gender exists, but she says it is here. We have to acknowledge that there is a gendered experience, and our life, our existence is separated based on gender. And she goes that under patriarchy, men have a little bit more, the scales are a little imbalanced. Men have a little bit more power than women do in society at base level. And then she says that men take the proclivity of masculinity being dominant and they turn that into morality. Essentially saying that men over history have asserted that to be masculine is to be dominant, is to be right, is to inherit the connection to God. I grew up in the South. I'm going to be talking about the South all the time. I was told that girls couldn't talk to God. God wouldn't speak to women. God only spoke to men because women are the second sex. Women couldn't be pastors in a lot of the places that I lived in because, well, God can't communicate with women because women aren't as divine. Beauvoir says that in our society, gender is polar. There's masculinity and femininity. And she goes that masculinity is considered the default or positive, and women are seen as like the negative or the opposite. So men get to be neutral. Humanity is thought of as like mankind. Man is thought of as the norm. And there are like some like kind of more superficial examples of like clothing, like a t-shirt or pants. That stuff is seen as normal. It is seen as the default. And if a woman wears it, like historically those were masculine clothing, but if women wear it now, it's just thought of as that they're wearing normal or default things. But female clothing, like a dress or like a bra or like skirt or makeup, those things are seen of as feminine. They're seen as other. So man in our society gets to be the norm and women have to be other. I feel like most women intuitively understand this because they have the lived experience of women, or people who have a feminine experience but then like are non-binary or transitioned or whatever. Those people, you understand this. I need to explain this to the men. So sorry if I'm preaching to the choir. Or like you think of color, where it's like if a woman wears blue, you don't really bat an eye because blue is considered masculine and masculine is considered normal, default. But if a man wears pink, that gets other to go, oh, well, he's in touch with his feminine side, you know? And you can even connect this back to Adam and Eve, where in the story, get out your Bibles, bitches. In the story of Adam and Eve, Adam is created first. He is the default. He is the one, because God is man and he creates Adam, who is man. But then God creates Eve by taking a rib out of Adam and then using that to create Eve. So Eve is the second sex. Adam is the first. He's the default. Women are other. And then women are the ones who kind of do the tempting. Eve gets the apple first, and then that's why like women are kind of thought of as like temptresses. So book learning synopsis over. Let's connect this back to Sabrina Carpenter. Women are completely autonomous beings, right? Women don't have to act in accordance with the gendered expectations that society places on them. Patriarchy raises women and kind of forces them to be in this role, otherwise they're kind of ostracized from society. Basically, women in our society only exist in relation to men. A man is normal and a woman only exists as long as she's connected to man. And what Simone de Beauvoir said was, she was saying that some women sacrifice their freedom and they choose to embody this social norm that has been placed on women. And they do that because it's comfortable, because making these decisions under patriarchy is really difficult. And the argument is that Sabrina Carpenter is one of these women, or at least she aestheticizes or celebrates conforming to the aesthetics of being the second sex. Beauvoir says that when women do this, they are essentially objectifying themselves. And what is TikTok saying Sabrina Carpenter is doing? They're saying she's objectifying herself. She's pandering to the male gaze. And is TikTok onto something? Kinda, yeah. They kinda are. Man-child says that she goes, I like my men all incompetent. The thing is, she's critiquing men in her music, but she's not critiquing the power structure or the relationship dynamic of men and women that she's describing. Or in the song Juno, she says she would give up everything she has to be a mother to this man. She goes, he makes me wanna fall in love. Yeah. And Juno it's by this movie Juno with a pregnant woman, but Juno is the goddess of motherhood. And Sabrina Carpenter is saying through her music, she basically wants to she wants a Beauty and the Beast dynamic, or she keeps living the Beauty and the Beast dynamic. She keeps falling in love with these horrible men, these man-child, and she keeps repeating this behavior and she keeps trying to mother these men because they were not raised properly, because under patriarchy, men are not forced to learn what it's like to be in a relationship. And I think men would benefit from having a more androgynous approach to relationship dynamics. Men are taught to dominate. Men are taught... Look, this is a video... I'm not gonna be defending men in this video. But the thing is, women they basically have to be the mother to this man. They have to Beauty and the Beast him. They have to transform him into a prince. And then I think some people who are trying to defend Sabrina Carpenter, they go, well, this is just satire. This is just satirical. And I think that's also a weak analysis. This isn't just satire. It's much more layered. It's celebratory. It's aestheticizing. It's kind of taking pleasure in the subjugation. Very similar to Lana Del Rey. And then TikTok and Simone de Beauvoir for whatever, they would say this is bad. This is harming the feminist cause. And is it bad? It's a complex question. I think, example, I brought up Lingua Ignota and Diamanda Galas earlier, and I love them, and they sing about the female experience, but they're not as successful because they're not pop music. And Sabrina Carpenter, she brought up in one interview, she was like, I have a lot of songs that aren't about sex, but the songs that you made popular, audience, are the ones about sex. And also, I think there's kind of like a feminist argument that was brought up against like Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey. Yes, I did watch the ContraPoints video on Twilight like 30 times. But there's like a feminist critique against it that basically Sabrina Carpenter is embodying these horrible impulses that were instilled into women by society. And these desires and impulses for subjugation, for repeated relationship dynamics with men, ought not to be romanticized or aestheticized. But if you do romanticize and do aestheticize these, because it's kind of in everybody's subconscious, people are going to gravitate towards it. And especially because it's about sex, and our society, we are so sexually repressed. But that's kind of the genre of female pop, no? Female pop is about sex. Obviously you have the Madonna, but like women sing about sex and romance all the time in music. And I think part of that is because these are artists, and artists try to articulate what's going on in their subconscious. And I hate when people, they say that Sabrina Carpenter, they're like, well, she just manufactured in a lab, and these white men in business suits, they're the ones orchestrating it. And I'm like, tell me you hate women without telling me you hate women. You're not giving her any credit. That's crazy. You're not saying she's an autonomous, independent artist who can make these decisions. That's crazy. To me, what makes more sense is Sabrina Carpenter is trying to express a lived experience that she's been through her art, and is manifesting it from her subconscious to the music. And because a lot of people have this shared experience, particularly women have this shared experience, they're gonna gravitate towards it because they feel seen and heard. Everybody knows the divas who are like, oh my God, I hate men. I wish I were a lesbian, but then spends all their time on Bumble and Tinder trying to go on dates. And I get it. I'm not shaming these women. There's one thing I will not be doing in this whole video. I will not shame a woman. Society shames you enough. I think we get into a deep question of like, what is gender? And I don't know. I think part of this is that like feminists have tried so long to defend that like, this isn't what a woman is. A woman doesn't have to be dog walked and treated like a dog, like a bitch, you know? And they see this and they go, that's not me. That's not feminism. That's not who I am. That's not what a woman is. And I'm like, okay, but what is a woman? And the question is, no one knows. The closest thing that I have been able to understand what a woman is, what gender is, comes from Aretha Franklin's song, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, written by Carole King. The song, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, is essentially that like, when the woman singing the song gets close to a man, she goes, and I just want to be close to you. You make me feel so alive. You make me feel like a natural woman. There's something about gender where it only exists close to one another. It's like, example, you look at the Short and Sweet album cover by Sabrina Carpenter, and like, you know she's a woman, but it's mostly about glamour. It's mostly about sex to a degree, or beauty. But gender is kind of, now, when you look at Man's Best Friend, you place Sabrina Carpenter next to a man, well, then it becomes about gender. And there's something about gender where it's like, it only exists in context with its opposite. You can't really define it without talking about its opposite. If you take masculine characteristics and push them as far away as you can from feminine characteristics, they no longer become gendered. Like a dress. You see a dress, but then you see a man wear a dress. You see a man put on a feminine article, then gender comes into play. And I think what people have an issue with is that I think gender only exists with its opposite. I don't know. I've done enough defending the internet mob. I hate all of you. I'm now gonna be defending Sabrina Carpenter. Me wanna make you fall in love. So here's what Sabrina Carpenter does. She doesn't feel shame. She is not ashamed. She doesn't dismantle her relationship dynamics. She doesn't dismantle or disrupt the sexual dynamic between men and women, the normal relationship dynamics. She's making fun of men, but she's not making fun of the dynamic. She doesn't feel shameful. She doesn't feel ashamed. She doesn't feel guilty. And I think that's the problem, that's what people are having a problem with. They don't like her being proud about her sexuality because they think it's not feminist enough. And some people make the like, well, what about the children argument? And I'm like, that doesn't hold up. Don't let your children listen to Sabrina Carpenter. If you don't want her, she's very sexual. Or if you do, have a conversation with your children about how, like, this isn't what a relationship dynamic has to be. Like, you can have conversations with your children about the intricacies of art. They'll understand. They are complex human beings. And people kind of talk about, like, a satire, like, they call it satire, or they're like, it's not being satirical enough. And I think that's what's really interesting to me, and what's detailed about Sabrina Carpenter's art, is it's not just making fun of, but it's also not, like, blind to the fact that this is crazy. It exists in, like, this liminal zone, where she's like, oh, this is crazy. Oh, I love this guy. It's nuanced. It's textured. And I find that great. I think it's really interesting to exist in, like, this weird in-between gray zone, where it's like, oh, I love this man-child. I love men playing hard to get. And she genuinely does, but also hates it, because that is the lived experience of many people, many women. And then, oh God, I saw this one comment. And one of the comments, it was trying to defend Sabrina Carpenter, but I didn't like, it goes, if a movement is set back 100 years by just one 5-foot-tall woman, it was never that strong to begin. And I hate this comment. It's like, what is your motivation behind this comment? Is it trying to belittle the feminist movement? You're obviously belittling Sabrina Carpenter's art by saying, by one 5-foot-tall, if it's set back 100 years by just one 5-foot-tall woman, that's trying to belittle her. Don't like that. I think it was never that strong to begin. It's just, I don't like this argument that it's like, and I've seen many people make this argument. They go, well, one woman couldn't possibly set this movement back. And I'm like, well, yes, duh, but that's not what the people arguing against Sabrina Carpenter are saying. They're saying she's perpetuating harmful stereotypes. Do I agree with this? Not really, but that at least engage with these people in good faith. And then people say she's pandering to the male gaze. To a degree, she kind of is, but that doesn't hold up. Do you know what the male gaze is? I was a film major. I know what the male gaze is. The male gaze, everyone, you probably already know, but recap. Recap time. The male gaze essentially was a way of talking about film. And it was trying to say that, like, basically, like, the camera lens is an eye, okay? And when you're seeing a screen, you're seeing through the perspective of a person's eye. Who is the eye? The eye is a man. It's a man's eye. Men were the ones making movies. So when you see a woman in a movie, you're seeing a man's interpretation of what a woman is. And they go that women become objectified when being viewed in the movie. And part of me wants to, like, say, just being viewed in general makes you an object. To view someone else is to view them as an object, and then when they view you, you feel like an object. And you don't like that feeling. But the thing is, women become more of an object because we live in a patriarchal society. So women essentially internalize the male gaze in their head. The argument as it's gone on to develop is that, like, women internalize the male gaze. So not only do they have, like, a woman's perspective in their head, but they have a man's perspective in their head. I don't think that's something we can change. And, like, I mean that to say that if a woman is raised in that environment, and that is just how women are raised under our patriarchal society, and developmentally that's been instilled in their head, well, then you can't really get rid of that. It's like a trauma. It's a wound. It's how they develop. So when people say she's pandering to the male gaze, they have a point, but I don't think that's a bad thing. The argument is that, like, women by nurture, because a woman is made, not born, women just inherently do that. So is it pandering to the male gaze? Well, what's the difference between pandering to the male gaze and trying to appear beautiful and sexy? I don't know, so I think that's a complex and nuanced argument that I don't think one YouTube video is going to be able to explain. But another argument that people are making is that it's centering men. And I want to say, to a degree, yes, it is centering men, but it's not really centering, it's centering gender. And it's not centering men, it's just, she's talking about a female experience. When you're talking about a female experience, because in our society, women are always attached to men and are thought of as secondary to men. In order to talk about what it's like to be female, you have to also talk about what it's like to live in relation to men. And she's not centering. It's like, what straight men are watching this? The only male gays watching this are ginger men. And people are saying, like, well, nowadays we are in such a repressive sexual time where men just kind of view this as, like, whorish. They want their women to be chaste. They want them to have no power. Look, in our society, women have very little innate power over men. But there are two things that women have. One is motherhood, and one is sex, because straight men can't have sex unless the woman is there and gives permission, but men take permission. By take permission, they, assault without consent. So I think example, you have the song Espresso, okay? And Espresso, and yes, this is going to be an in-depth lyrical analysis of Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. Get over yourself. Basically, Espresso is a very powerful song. She has a lot of power in the song. She's holding all the power, but she gets all of her power by withholding sex from men. You go, now he's think about me every night. Oh, isn't that sweet? I guess so. My give a fucks are on vacation. Her whole horny aesthetic is it's her will to power. It's her ability to gain power by being in relation to men. How do I explain this? In this song, she's expressing that under patriarchy, women can really only get power, obviously not only, I'm talking about gender, so everything's going to be very nebulous and nondescript and generic and not applying to everybody, of course. That's what happens when you talk about generalities. But in this song, she's asserting that male validation is one of the few ways women can get innate power in our society. Is that good? Hell no. I'm not saying any of this is good. I'm saying she's depicting this experience. Or in Please, Please, Please. She goes, please, please. My favorite song of her. Love, please, please, please. Please, please, please. Don't prove I'm right. He goes, heartbreak is one thing, my ego's another. I beg you don't embarrass me, motherfucker. Don't bring me to tears when I just did my makeup so nice. And I think there's a critique that feminists could have against Sabrina Carpenter saying, well, you're just saying it's just, you don't want this because your makeup's gonna run, because you don't want to look ugly. You think that's what a woman is? You think a woman's just her makeup? You think that's just her looking ugly? But to me, that reminds me of The Devil Wears Prada. Where, do you remember in The Devil Wears Prada where Miranda Priestley, the whole cerulean thing, where Andy is well, I'm not like the other girls. I don't care about how I look. The feminine urge to not be like other girls. But Andy is trying to excuse herself from fashion. And Miranda Priestley basically looks at her and goes, well, your sweater was picked out by these people in this room.
Oh, okay. I see. You think this has nothing to do with you. You go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back. However, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when, in fact, you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room.
So it's Sabrina Carpenter getting power from men is important. Makeup is important. I don't want people to disparage women who choose to do this. It's what you think constitutes a real woman or a real man isn't true. Because I think so many women, they're raised in a society that says, well, you're not a real woman unless your hair is perfect. You're not a real woman unless you're gorgeous. You're not a real woman unless you have these high heel shoes, and they shame them, and they have fought their entire life trying to separate themselves from this. And when they see someone like Sabrina Carpenter just willingly embracing it, they feel like she's a traitor. They feel like you're a traitor for the feminist cause. I had to fight so hard to escape the confines of this, and that's what you think a woman is? I think, here's the thing. What is the point of art? I think people so quickly think that art and propaganda are the same thing. And I don't think that I don't think Sabrina Carpenter has sat down and perfectly articulated all these things well, I'm going to represent the lived, it's no, but it's coming from her subconscious. What is the point of art? The point of art is just to be creative. And I think that in art, talk about your experience. This is probably Sabrina Carpenter's experience. She is autonomous. She's an autonomous being who chose to create this work of art that is representative of herself. And I think people think that it's it's the easy way out. It's the easy way out to just succumb to these societal norms of beauty. And it's you think Sabrina Carpenter has the easy way out? She's been doing so much work. She works harder than any of us. She works hard for the money. People are upset with patriarchy. They are upset with forced subjugation of women by men, and rightfully so. But instead of displacing anger to people that it actually cares about, instead of taking it up with the men in their lives, people find an easy celebrity, a vulnerable woman who will take it, and they displace all their anger onto her. When in reality, you should utilize your anger to deal with the people genuinely causing these cycles of oppression and violence. Men. Sabrina Carpenter is not is not the final boss. She's just making art, and this is liberal slut shaming. That's what's happening. And I think it's not like this is the only way a woman can exist in pop culture or in pop music. Pop music is like a matriarchy. Obviously, there's like male producers and there's a lot of horrible men in the music industry. But like pop music is a place where women can kind of like, they have a lot of power. Look at now, you have the Chaperones and the Charlie XCXs. And it's like Chaperone doesn't pander to the male gaze, which saying pander to the male gaze is just a politically correct way to call a woman a slut. That's all it is. Charlie XCX isn't doing that. It's not like this is the only possible outlet for a woman to exist as in pop music. There's lots of other women doing other things that aren't pertaining to gender in that way, and that's fine. I don't know. I also think that people are saying that like they think submission is wrong and submission is bad, and it's not. Being submissive sexually is a gift. It's not weakness. I don't view Sabrina Carpenter as a weak person. She's incredibly powerful. She's like in 50 Shades of Grey, where Anastasia is like being bound by Christian Grey. And he goes, well, you're topping from the bottom. I can live by that. I don't know. Sabrina Carpenter is selling a fantasy. She's expressing what it's like. She's expressing her lived experience as a woman. She's well within her right to do it. She's not shaming anybody. She's not saying this is the only way you can do it. This is her art. And people are saying, well, it's not even that subversive. Well, you're getting up in arms. I think she's pissed off all demographics, which to me means that's successful art. I think it's wonderful. I'm excited for the new album. I probably will like some of the songs. I don't know, just Sabrina Carpenter is not the final boss of patriarchy. I don't think she's perpetuating harmful stereotypes. Is she pandering to the male gaze? I don't know. Maybe that's what if she genuinely finds that beautiful, is that pandering to the male gaze, or is that her expressing her desire to be viewed as beautiful? What's the difference? There's nothing wrong with wanting to be beautiful. I don't know. I think everybody just needs to like stop this moral panic. Sabrina Carpenter isn't that bad. Art can be provocative. Art is allowed to provoke everybody. Just because you're feeling negative emotions doesn't mean they're valid. So sorry. I'm somebody, I have PTSD, I have triggers. Just because I'm feeling triggered, genuinely triggered because of something, doesn't mean what the other person's doing is wrong. My emotions are my responsibility, okay? So, moral of the story, genuinely engage with the art you're consuming. Try and think about it. I don't know. Please donate to my Venmo. I need to make rent. Okay, whatever. Whatever.